Good morning, everyone. My name is Anissa, and my ID is 012-025-091345. So today I will briefly explain about performance management and Adobe's check-in system. Performance management is an important HR process that helps employees to improve their performance while achieving the organization's goals. It includes setting goals, monitoring performances, giving feedback, identifying areas for improvement, and supporting employee in development. Traditionally, many companies use annual performances review to evaluate their employees. However, this method can have some weakness because feedback is given only annually, often focuses more on past performances. In contrast, continual performances management focuses on regular communication, timely feedback, flexible goal, and continuous employee development. Where a good example is an Adobe. Adobe replaced its traditional annual performances review with the check-in system. This system encourages regular discussion between manager and employee about expectation, feedback, performances, and career development. Today, Adobe's system includes goal management, continuous feedback, quarterly check-ins, and digital tools to support employees' development. Therefore, this study will critically examine Adobe's check-in system by comparing annual and continuous performances review, focusing on employee motivation feedback, development, and organizational performances. Thank you. Now I will briefly explain about Adobe. Adobe is a multinational technology company that develops software, digital services for creating, managing, and delivering digital content. The company was founded by John Warnock and Charles Getsch in December 1982, and its headquarters are located in San Jose, California, USA. Adobe mainly focuses on three key areas: Creative Cloud, Document Cloud, and Experience Cloud. Popular products include Photoshop, Illustrator, Premiere, and Adobe Acrobat. Adobe operates globally with employee customers in many countries. According to its 2025 annual report, Adobe had 31,360 employees as of November 2025. Adobe is suitable for this study because it changed from a traditional annual performance review to a more continuous approach called check-in. This makes Adobe a good example for comparing annual and continuous performance management. Adobe is having very good performances results, as you can see. Thank you.
My name is Shalini, and I will be presenting about Adobe's old annual review system. One of the best examples of a business that changed in its performance management systems from an earlier approach is Adobe Systems. Prior to 2012, Adobe had a typical early performance review procedure in which each employee's work was formally assessed each year. Adobe found that the system of assessing employee performance and setting rewards was time consuming and bureaucratic. Thus, it was neither effective nor efficient. After careful deliberation, Adobe made the decision in 2012 to replace the yearly performance review with continuous feedback or check in, a new method of performance management. Conventional annual evaluations focus on evaluating on an employee's performance during the previous year. During a previous year, a procedure of rating and ranking through documentation was required of the managers and staff. Employees were occasionally put against one another, which had an impact on the salary reward system. Adobe discovered several issues with the conventional evaluation process. Both managers and staff thought the old method was bureaucratic and required too much work. The delayed delivery of comments was the other major issue. An employee may work for a very long time without knowing how they were performing because performance reviews were typically conducted at the end of the year. This would imply that any issues would take a very lengthy time to resolve. Adobe realized that rather than waiting until end of the year, employees needed rapid feedback in the present dynamic climate. The annual review method is costly not just in terms of employee time expenditures, but also in terms of manager time. Adobe claims that the company has saved up to 80,000 hours of manager time by doing away with this conventional technique. Additionally, Adobe has seen a rise in employee voluntary attrition following the yearly review cycle. This suggests that the employee's motivation may be negatively impacted by the conventional procedure. Adobe's decision to discontinue the annual review process was motivated by the need to create a system that is more adaptable and focused on employee performance. Adobe preferred that managers and staff have conversations about current performance, future goals, and self improvement rather than focusing on employees' past performance. Adobe developed Check In, where management and staff have frequent conversations about coaching, expectations, and feedback. Generally speaking, Adobe's previous yearly review procedure highlights some of the shortcomings of conventional performance reviews. The issue with the annual performance review is that while it may be a helpful tool for assessing an employee's performance, it is likely insufficient to provide enough time for the employee's growth in the case of Adobe. Employees' growth. In the case of Adobe, it became evident that regular feedback greatly increases the efficiency of the program management process. The shift from fast focus rating procedure to the continuous development process was represented by the switch from annual reviews check-in. That will be all from me. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Yamashurali and today I'm going to present on Adobe's check-in system. So let me go with the first slide, which is Adobe's check-in system is actually introduced in 2012 and also it replaced the traditional annual performance review. Employees and managers communicate throughout the years and plus focuses on continuous feedback and also improvement. And lastly, employees do not have to wait until the end of the year for their feedback. So why Adobe changed the system? The first thing is annual reviews were time consuming. Second is feedback was given only once a year. Third is problem could remain unresolved for a long time. And fourth is employees needed faster and more useful feedback. And the last is managers could help and support employees when problems happen. So the main goal is to improve employees' performance continuously. So the third thing, three main areas in check-in system, which is development. So the first thing in development is discuss employee strength and weakness. Second is identify area that need improvement. Third is improve career goals and professional growth. Second is feedback. So the feedback will shows that manager give regular feedback, employees can share their problems and concerns, and the last is creates a two-way conversation. So the third thing is expectations, where we set clear goals and responsibilities. Second is employees understand what is expected from them and contact individually goals with company's objective. And to be continued, removal of performance rating. So in this Adobe system, Adobe removed traditional performance ranking. First. Second is employee were no longer focused on getting a specific rating. Third will be more focuses on actual work on achievements. And the last will be reduces unhealthy competition between employees and managers, so that managers could focus more on helping employees improve, and also encourage more honest conversation between employee and managers. And the fifth is benefit of having an Adobe system in a company, where we can save around 80,000 managers hours. Second is more frequently communication between managers and employee. Third will be employees receive feedback when they needed in problem, can be identified and also solved earlier. So last will be support professional development and also help employees achieve their goals. So
All over this main conclusion of having an Adobe system in a company, Adobe moved from reviewing once a year to improve throughout the year. Second will be continuous communication in improved performance. Feedback employees correct problems earlier. So that set a clear goal and, and also help employees to understand and also to know their responsibility. So this all for me. And also before I end, I'll like to know is overall Adobe system is an example of continuous performance management. So it's a system that shows how actually a performance management works between manager and also employee. That's all from me. Thank you.
My name is Michelle Niroban, and now I will discuss the strengths and limitations of Adobe Check-in Performance Management System. Starting with the strength, the first advantage is timely feedback. Unlike the traditional annual review, Check-in allows employees to receive feedback more regularly. This means performance problems can be identified and addressed yearly, while employees have a clearer understanding of what is expected from them. Secondly, Check-in supports employee development. Through the regular career growth discussions, employees have more opportunities to identify their development needs and improve their skills. The third is flexible goal setting. Employees and managers can adjust goals when business priorities and responsibilities change. This makes the system more adaptable to a changing working environment. Another advantage is the reduction in administrative burden. By moving away from the traditional review process, Adobe reduced paperwork and allowed managers to spend more time coaching and supporting their employees. Adobe reported significant manager time savings after removing the traditional review process. Finally, Check-in can support employee motivation because it places less emphasis on rankings and more emphasis on growth, feedback, and improvement. However, there are several limitations which are weakness. The first is manager capability. Check-in depends heavily on managers having good coaching, communication, and feedback skills. If managers are not capable of conducting effective conversations, employees may not receive the full benefits of the system. Second is consistency and fairness. Different managers may evaluate or communicate with employees differently, which can create inconsistent experiences. Third, there are compensation challenges. Since Adobe moved away from the formal ratings and rankings, managers have greater responsibility when making compensation decisions. This can create concerns about whether decisions are fair and consistent. Finally, there is the issue of too much flexibility. Although flexibility is one of the Check-in strengths, different departments may implement the system differently. Adobe's experience showed that employees wanted greater structure and consistency, while managers also needed additional support for effective development conversations. Therefore, the key point is that removing annual ratings does not automatically remove performance management problems. Check-in can be effective, but its success depends on good managers, consistency, and fairness. Next, I will discuss the impact of Adobe's check-in system on employees, particularly in terms of motivation and employee development. First, in terms of motivation, check-in provides employees with recognition because feedback and performance discussions happen more regularly rather than only once a year. It also gives employees clearer expectation as they can communicate with their managers about their goals and performance throughout the year. The system also provides more opportunities for feedback, allowing employees to understand what they are doing well and what they need to improve. Most importantly, Check-in places a greater focus on development and growth, rather than simply ranking employees based on their performance. For employee development, Check-in provides opportunities for regular career discussions between employees and managers. Employees can also identify areas where they need skill development and work towards improving those skills. Adobe Career Discovery tool further supports employees by helping them explore possible career paths within the organization. This can create more opportunities for internal growth as employees can better understand the skills and experience needed to progress into other roles. Overall, Adobe check-in system can positively influence employees by making performance management more focused on feedback, growth, and future development rather than only evaluating past performance. Thank you.
My name is Keshni Selvakumar and my metric number is 0120250916662. So today I'm going to present about the recommendations. So we got 4 recommendations. The first one is manager training. Should provide regular training to manager to improve feedback, coaching and career discussions. The second is consistency and flexibility. Should maintain flexible while setting basic standard for regular feedback, goals and performance discussions. The third one is fair compensations. Should ensure compensations discussion are fair, transparent and based on clear performance criteria. The fourth one, performance data. Should use check-in data to identify employee development needs and performance gap. Overall, the recommendations should continue the check-in system with strong training, fairness, consistency, and continue improving. I'm going to present the conclusion. Check-in performance management, successful shift from annual performance reviewing to continue check-in system. Check-in provides regular feedback, goal setting, and career development. It helps employees understand expectations and improve their performance continuously. This system reduces its administration's burden of traditional appraisals. How its success depends on manager skill, consistency, and fairness. Should ensure transparent compensations and equal employee experience. Overall, check-in support employee engagement, develop and organization successful. Thank you.